Good afternoon. I hope that, okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that during the lunchtime, you also have an opportunity to have nutritious food and also have a good lunch and also have a good break as well. I know that some of you are also attended the side events of the three side events for today. One is transforming agricultural innovation for people, nature and climate, which organized by UK, CGIAR, FAO and Thailand. And the second side events exploring the application of CFS instruments to address gender, youth inequalities and data system in small-scale fisheries, organized by FAO, International Collective in support of fish workers, Norway, University of Amsterdam, and World Fish. And another side events, how COVID-19 affected school feeding program and how to strengthen them post-COVID, including through homegrown school meals organized by Brazilian cooperation agencies, National Fund for Development of Education, WFP, Center of Excellence, Brazil, United States, Finland, Rwanda, and WFP. Which actually thank you very much for all support of our partners, organizers who bring us together and also brings your knowledge and experience to share at the side events of the CFS. As you have heard this morning, there were over 50 proposals, and finally we could manage to accommodate 12 side events. But anyway, this year CFS will have another special sessions of CFS 48 in June, and then another CFS 49 in October. And we still welcome all of proposals, and also CFS will play a role as multi-stakeholders platform and to share your knowledge, your experience, and lesson learned among all of you. Now we will continue our plenary, which actually I think this morning we could manage our time very well. And I have the list of our speakers from afternoon, in the morning's session, that I will start from Norway and followed by Venezuela and then Switzerland. Norway, you take the floor is yours. Norway, you are here. Norway, you are here. Okay, otherwise I give the floor to Venezuela.
Yes, indeed, I am here.
Okay, yeah, please. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me initially echo previous speakers in thanking the high-level panel of experts for a substantial and very important report. Norway can fully subscribe to the new global narrative proposed by the Hlpe, and in particular, the need to transform global food systems towards resilience and sustainability, and so as to eradicate hunger in accordance with Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. We also subscribe to the strong recommendation to strengthen the focus on the human right to adequate food. The report illustrates, Mr. Chairman, what the CFS can do at its best. It should strive to have a clear science and evidence-based approach to its work. We would like to see a CFS that promotes coherent and ambitious policies, contributing towards safe and nutritious food for all. And let me also underscore that it is our joint responsibility to contribute constructively in the formulation of policy recommendations on the basis of the HLPE reports, and to make sure that these recommendations and guidelines are taken up and put into effect. The HLPE report points to the need for a critical political shift. For the CFS to be able to contribute to this, work should focus on issues where the CFS can provide added value. We should avoid renegotiating CFS's own documents or discussions for which other organizations are better placed. The Food Systems Summit is an opportunity to turn the momentum and to create this required shift. The findings in the HLPE report should therefore serve as an important reference in preparations for the summit and to identify the game-changing solutions. We would in particular like to highlight two main recommendations, which we strongly believe should be emphasized. One, the necessary transformation of our food systems. The approach should be holistic, promote gender equality, and aim at providing resilient and sustainable food systems. This so as to bring us closer to the eradication of hunger and the achievement of the 2030 Agenda and the SDGs. And secondly, the right to adequate food should be at the center of our efforts to ensure food and nutrition security. These goals and aims are in line with the thinking of our Norwegian Action Plan on Sustainable Food Systems, which will guide our own foreign and development policy going forward. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, let me emphasize the importance of including food from the oceans as part of the solution. If we are to be able to feed a growing world population in a healthy, nutritious, and fully sustainable manner, Norway will, together with partners, continue to champion improved management of fisheries and marine resources, at the same time advancing a sustainable ocean economy and, not the least, healthy oceans. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, thank you very much, Norway, for your remark. Now I give the floor to Venezuela, followed by Switzerland and Japan. Venezuela, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. La República Bolivariana de Venezuela toma nota del informe de 2020 del Grupo de Alto Nivel de Expertos en Seguridad Alimentaria y Nutrición GANESAN, intitulado Elaborar una descripción global de cara al 2030. En particular, alentamos lo dicho por el informe cuando afirma que ya resulta evidente que los más afectados serán los segmentos más pobres y vulnerables de la población, y cuando señala asimismo que una de las principales preocupaciones es la repercusión que tendrá la propagación del COVID-19 en los países menos desarrollados, en particular a los que ya están experimentando crisis alimentarias y sanitarias. Ante dicho escenario, resulta urgente e imperativo el cumplimiento del párrafo 30 de la resolución aprobada por la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas el 25 de septiembre de 2015 sobre la Agenda 2030, que cito, insta encarecidamente a los estados que se abstengan de promulgar y aplicar unilateralmente medidas económicas, financieras o comerciales que no sean compatibles con el derecho internacional y la Carta de las Naciones Unidas y que impidan la plena consecución del desarrollo económico y social, particularmente de los países en desarrollo. Ello nos permitirá acceder a los ingentes recursos retenidos en bancos internacionales necesarios para destinarlos a las vacunas para el COVID-19, así como para seguir garantizando la seguridad alimentaria y nutricional de nuestra población. La República Bolivariana de Venezuela, a través de la Superintendencia de Gestión Agroalimentaria, ha diseñado un plan de contingencia para garantizar la operatividad del sistema integral agroalimentario durante el periodo de cuarentena y ha puesto en práctica una serie de acciones para mantener los índices de abastecimiento de los 12 rubros priorizados que forman parte de los alimentos de la canasta básica, garantizando la existencia de la cadena de distribución y comercialización. Tales acciones se alinean con las orientaciones sobre políticas del informe GANESAN en las que propone tomar medidas más enérgicas encaminadas a promover la equidad entre los participantes de los sistemas alimentarios, fomentando el arbitrio y el derecho de la alimentación, sobre todo en las personas vulnerables y marginadas. Venezuela se encuentra actualmente realizando todos los esfuerzos necesarios para armonizar las metodologías utilizadas por la FAO para calcular las cifras en materia de seguridad alimentaria y nutrición. En ese sentido, se realizan diferentes actividades conjuntas con la FAO para poder contar con un panorama más amplio sobre la seguridad alimentaria en el país. Y por último, Venezuela reafirma la importancia de adoptar medidas urgentes y oportunas para fortalecer la paz universal, sostenible y el cumplimiento a la promoción y a la protección de todos los derechos humanos, incluido el derecho al desarrollo y el derecho a la alimentación. Por ello, instamos a todos aquellos países que están fomentando la desestabilización en el país a tomar la senda de la paz y del diálogo sincero y constructivo entre las naciones y del crecimiento sostenido e inclusivo. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Minister. Now I give the floor to Switzerland, followed by Japan and then Zimbabwe. Switzerland, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Switzerland welcomes the Hlpe 2020 report, Building a Global Narrative Towards 2030. This report proves once again that the decision to establish the Hlpe in 2009 as a key component of the CFS was the right one. The panel enables us to work based on hard evidence and state-of-art knowledge. The perspective of the Hlpe on food systems and their challenges should be the departure and reference point for all our future discussions. This is also the case with the panel's conclusion that a critical policy shift is needed in order to avoid falling short on the Agenda 2030, that a radical transformation of food systems is necessary, and that moving towards more sustainable food systems is key. Particularly, we would like to highlight the expanded understanding of food security and nutrition through the dimensions of agency and sustainability. Hence, food security is only given when food is available, accessible, and utilizable, when individuals and groups are their own food agents, and when the food is sustainably sourced. It will be of utmost importance that the ongoing and future work of the CFS is fully integrates this evolved understanding of food security and nutrition. To conclude, Switzerland sees 4 important aspects to successfully transform food systems to make sure we leave no one behind. First, recognize and apply the expanded understanding of food security and nutrition. Second, consider current trends in the context of food security and nutrition in the design of future policy directions. Third, shift to an integrated food systems approach, taking into account all the socio-economic and environmental aspects, as well as all positive and all negative externalities attached to different food systems. Fourth, reinforce the importance of international coordination and work through multi-stakeholder partnerships towards enabling conditions, as challenges are complex and systemic and cannot be addressed in a top-down or linear fashion. Finally, I would like to echo the statement of the head of IFAD, which he delivered this morning. Let us be ambitious, imaginative, and innovative. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Switzerland. Now I give the floor to Japan.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much for giving me to the floor. Japan support Hlpe report, and we would like to mention following 3 points. First, it is important to promote synergies between the 2021 Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit and the United Nations Food System Summit. And also important to increase the momentum to tackle a wide range of issues related to nutrition and food in the world. At the Tokyo Nutrition for Growth Summit, in order to optimize resources and address nutrition challenges based on existing and expiring commitment, the summit presents financial and policy commitment, and together with concrete recommendations to the international community, lays out a path to 2030. Second, Japan has been systematically promoting food education and planning to including sustainable diet in the next food education plan. Furthermore, the effort of reducing food loss and waste and local production and local consumption are also important issues. Third, it is necessary to shift to an environmentally friendly agricultural production system while maintaining and improving the income of producers. For this purpose, it is important to promote investment that contribute to the shift to sustainable food system, such as smart agriculture, not just by introducing and strengthening regulation on production activities. Moreover, there is no single solution depending on the geographical and socio-economic situation of each country and region. It is important to implement various approaches, including appropriate application of fertilizer and pesticides, utilizing digital agriculture in accordance with the regional condition of each country and region. Finally, Japan wants to support and contribute to CFS and Food System Summit continuously. Thank you, Chair. Over.
Yep. Thank you very much, Japan, for your statement. Now I give the floor to Zimbabwe, followed by Jordan. Zimbabwe, please. Or Zimbabwe, please. Otherwise, I can give the floor to Jordan, please. Jordan, you are here?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, can I give the floor to Zimbabwe first, and then I give the floor back to you. Zimbabwe, please.
My apologies, I had forgotten to unmute myself. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Zimbabwe associates itself with the statement delivered by Kenya on behalf of the Africa Regional Group. Mr. Chairperson, we're at a stage where so many factors negatively impact on achieving SDGs, in which two are at play for Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe faces inadequate food and malnutrition for several reasons, including climate change and its wide-ranging impact, including droughts and cyclones. This was exacerbated by COVID-19, which is ongoing, disrupting food systems and with an unknown final impact. The work of CFS is crucial. We all need to work together so that we do not leave anyone behind. Building back together for all is key, not only at global, continental, and regional levels, but also nationally. Inclusive policies are key. Mainstreaming women, who constitute more than half of Zimbabwe's population and do most of the agricultural work in rural areas, as well as youth, who constitute an even larger percentage. They are the future, and including them is critical, as it will not only create employment, but empower them if our vision to transform agriculture into sustainable livelihoods is to be realized. Let us make a difference and empower the farmer on the ground with urgent support to produce more nutritious food. Time is not on our side. Zimbabwe appreciates the report prepared by the high-level panel of experts, emphasizing multi-stakeholder participation and inclusivity. As part of Zimbabwe's Vision 2030, which has agriculture as a key component, we've adopted an agriculture and food systems transformation strategy. In conjunction with FAO, Zimbabwe embraced climate-proof agriculture through a flagship program called Kumvutsa in Twasa, through which 2 million farmers received import support. With the rains we are receiving this season, which are above average, we are optimistic that the country will harvest enough staple food for the first time in a few years. Hunger is a scourge that should be eradicated. Mr. Chairperson, there is hope as a new generation of farmers in our country are beginning to embrace agriculture. These youths have coined a saying, which I will translate in English to say, just plant something. Plant anything, do not waste the rain. It shows the importance of agriculture and how much people understand the importance of ending hunger. Zimbabwe supports the convening of the UN World Food Systems Summit in this regard and hopes that it will be a watershed in our combined efforts towards ending hunger, malnutrition, and poverty. Thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, our Ambassador. Now I give the floor to Jordan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Allow me to deliver my statement in Arabic. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أصحاب المعالي والسعادة وزملاء الكرام. أشكرك سيد الرئيس لإعطائي الكلمة للإدلاء برأينا حول هذا الموضوع الهام والذي يؤثر. Excuse me, I need just to. Thank you. للإدلاء برأينا حول هذا الموضوع الهام والذي يؤثر بشكل كبير ومباشر على سبل الحياة لجميع سكان العالم. نشكر أولاً اللجنة الموقرة وفريق الخبراء رفيع المستوى على استصدار التقرير المعنون الأمن الغذائي والتغذية بناء سردية عالمية نحو العام 2030. سيد الرئيس، ظهرت مسألة الأمن الغذائي إلى السطح بشكل أكبر في يومنا هذا بسبب تفشي فيروس كورونا عالميا، لكنها معضلة يعاني منها العالم حتى قبل تفشي الجائحة ويعاني منها مئات الملايين. والسؤال الذي يجب أن نطرحه على أنفسنا في الوقت الحالي هو: هل من المعقول وفي القرن ال21 أن يعاني مئات الملايين من الجوع؟ وهل من المعقول أن يموت الملايين بسببه؟ لقد زاد انتشار جائحة الكورونا من تأثير المسببات الأساسية لانعدام الأمن الغذائي كالتغير المناخي والتهديدات العالمية لمصادر المياه العذبة والأزمات الاقتصادية والصراعات الإقليمية وأزمة لجوء عالمية غير مسبوقة تثقل الإمدادات الغذائية للاجئين والمجتمعات المضيفة، وهذه بالأخص قضية مألوفة لدى بلد الأردن. السيد الرئيس، السؤال هنا هو ليس ما إذا كان يجب علينا التصرف، إنما السؤال هو ما العمل الذي سيوصلنا إلى النتيجة التي نرجوها. البناء على الطرق المتبعة في الوقت الحالي لن يكون كافيا لمعالجة هذه المعضلة، خصوصا بعد انتشار جائحة الكورونا. يجب أن يتحد العالم لاستغلال الفرصة الآن لإنشاء نظم غذائية أفضل وأكثر شمولية وأكثر فاعلية، ويمكن التوصل إلى ذلك، وهنا أقتبس من رؤية لجلالة الملك عبد الله الثاني كوت، من خلال إعادة ضبط العولمة وتعزيز العمل الدولي المشترك لخدمة المصالح المشتركة والتركيز على روح الابتكار التي يتطلبها المستقبل. End of quote. ستوجه إعادة ضبط العولمة الموارد العالمية وبالشكل المطلوب لتصب في المجالات الأساسية كالبنية التحتية الزراعية. يجب علينا تأمين الدعم اللازم للأفكار المتقدمة في مجال الإنتاج والتوريد والتخزين ومشاركة المعرفة والاتصال. يجب أن نعزز الدعم للمزارعين في الدول النامية الذين هم بحاجة إلى الدعم المادي والتدريب لخدمة مجتمعاتهم. كما يجب توفير التكنولوجيا الزراعية الجديدة لإغراض تنويع المحاصيل وخلق شبكات أمان قوية للأمن الغذائي. إن التعاون هو العنصر الأساسي للعمل الإقليمي والعالمي، ويفتخر الأردن بكونه مصدرا للدعم للدول المجاورة له. موقعنا الاستراتيجي على مفترق طرق أفريقيا وآسيا وأوروبا يمكن الأردن من لعب دور الميسر للعمل الدولي الواسع كمركز إقليمي للغذاء، الأمر الذي سيسرع ويعزز الاستجابة العالمية للغزمات الغذائية والكوارث. شكرا سيد الرئيس.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Next on my list that I received in this morning, we will start with New Zealand, followed by Canada, and then Australia. New Zealand, please.
Thank you, Chair. New Zealand would firstly like to acknowledge the important contribution of the Hlpe to the CFS over the last 10 years. The summary report comes at an important time, both reflecting on Hlpe guidance to date, addressing the significant current challenges imposed by COVID-19 and looking forward to actions to 2030 and beyond. CFS's multi-stakeholder approach will be key to assist to identify and implement the range of actions needed at all levels going forward. Taken alongside the 2020 Hlpe report, New Zealand strongly shares the concerns expressed today about the continued growth in the number of people affected by hunger and the worrying statistics projected to get significantly worse due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We would agree with many of the observations in the Hlpe report. For example, we strongly support the emphasis on the need for a transition from a search for a single global solution to an appreciation of the diversity of situations that require diverse solutions. Given the essential role of international trade to global food security and resilience, we are pleased to see the recommendation to support food supply chains and avoid disruptions in food movement and trade, in line with FAO and WTO advice to countries in response to COVID-19. International trade not only enables food to move from surplus to deficit regions, but will also be necessary to ensure the efficient and sustainable use of global food and agricultural resources. In terms of increasing resilience, the recommendations to support local communities and citizens to increase local food production and consumption must go hand in hand with supporting international trade. Both responses are complementary and one cannot come at the expense of the other. We also believe that the role of distorting agricultural subsidies needs to be considered when reviewing the recommendations in this report. Agricultural policies around the world tend to use highly distorting measures, often creating incentives for overproduction and overuse of inputs. Such policies are inefficient ways to improve livelihoods or food security and often have negative environmental effects. Reforming those policies would go a long way to addressing many issues raised in the paper, yet distorting subsidies currently only gets passing mention in the paper. While we would agree with others that addressing trade issues is not the mandate of the CFS and the Hlpe, it is an important issue that needs to be considered when reviewing the report recommendations. Finally, noting Martin Cole's earlier comment about needing to be able to better monitor food systems, we would point to the lack of reliable contemporary data as a major obstacle to countries in addressing the sustainability of their agriculture and in understanding the effectiveness of a range of policy measures against the Sustainable Development Targets. The data gap is a key barrier in the move towards sustainable food systems, and for this reason, we're highly supportive of the FAO's increased focus on building country data capacities. And we also strongly support, as a matter of priority, the CFS move to contribute to this issue through the data workstream in the MyPower. Thank you, Chair.
Yep, thank you, New Zealand. And next, I give the floor to Canada, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And we would like to join others and thank you, the Hlpe, for its report and for the clear presentation today. Canada supports using a food systems approach to improve how domestic policy and development assistance empowers women, strengthens food security, addresses complex environmental challenges such as climate change, contributes to livelihoods, and supports inclusive economic growth. Our first ever food policy for Canada, launched in 2019 following extensive multi-stakeholder consultations, reflects such an approach. It provides a roadmap to end hunger, promote good health, cut food waste, and encourage sustainable food systems. We recognize the importance of strengthening conceptual thinking around food security and sustainable food systems frameworks, and appreciate the vital contributions of the Hlpe report this year in this regard. Canada welcomes the report's proposed update of the concept of food security to include agency and sustainability as key dimensions. The addition of the concept of agency demonstrates the importance of issues like inclusion, participatory processes, and women's empowerment to the realization of food security. We look forward to the development of the CFS voluntary guidelines on gender and women's empowerment based on the terms of reference to be adopted later this week. We also applaud the introduction of sustainability along the 3 pillars of economic, social, and environment. We are interested to see the outputs of the scientific group of the UN Food Systems Summit as another opportunity to support coalescence of the international community around concepts, terminology, and frameworks for sustainable food systems. and Canada sees the 2020 HLP report as an important contribution to robust scientific thinking within the US Food Systems Summit process. Finally, we would like to support the recognition in the report of the complexity of food systems and that solutions must be context-specific as part of critical policy shifts. We would also like to concur with the points made by New Zealand on trade and the importance of data. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Canada, for your statement. Next, I would like to give the floor to Costa Rica, then Australia, and then Cote d'Ivoire. Costa Rica, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gracias, señor presidente. Costa Rica desea agradecer por la presentación.
We cannot hear you clearly. Can you go close to your microphone, please?
Ahora sí. Mejor.
Yep, please. Go ahead.
Costa Rica agradece por la presentación del 15º informe del GANESAN, un valioso instrumento en estos tiempos inciertos que vivimos. Una guía concreta que hace visible a la comunidad internacional el vulnerable estado actual de la seguridad alimentaria y la nutrición en el mundo, en tiempos complejos, donde en lugar de acercarnos a concretar el objetivo 2 de la Agenda 2030, enfrentamos nuevos problemas que agravan las brechas del hambre y la inseguridad alimentaria. Es por esto que el informe presentado el día de hoy es fundamental, ya que demuestra dónde se están quedando limitados los esfuerzos de la comunidad internacional para alcanzar este objetivo. El documento es sumamente valioso porque también expone la evolución del concepto de seguridad alimentaria y cómo hoy en día es imposible hablar de este concepto sin reconocer las 6 dimensiones que intrínsecamente lo sustentan. El informe además resalta la importancia de la sostenibilidad de los sistemas alimentarios como un factor esencial para garantizar sistemas prósperos, equitativos y resilientes. La invitación que hace el informe por promover políticas públicas que atienden el fomento de prácticas más sostenibles, políticas que combaten el cambio climático y revierten la degradación de los sistemas, es sin duda una importante llamada de atención que debemos responder si deseamos alcanzar los ODS. Un llamado con el que Costa Rica está hoy más comprometida que nunca. Por lo anteriormente señalado, señor presidente, Costa Rica agradece la imprescindible labor del GANESAN y sus valiosos aportes a los esfuerzos por fortalecer las herramientas con las que la comunidad internacional debe abordar la cumbre de sistemas alimentarios. Cumbre que debe orientar sus esfuerzos en promover sistemas alimentarios sostenibles, equitativos para todas las naciones por igual. El hambre y la inseguridad alimentaria no son problema únicamente de los más vulnerables, sino que son una realidad que afecta a toda la humanidad. En el marco de las políticas para promover la seguridad alimentaria y la nutrición, Costa Rica desea hacer alusión a la década de las Naciones Unidas para la Agricultura Familiar, la cual tiene precisamente como objetivo la lucha contra el hambre y la pobreza en las zonas rurales de todo el planeta. Sí, siendo que muchos agricultores familiares a nivel mundial son los encargados de producir alimentos frescos y locales de manera sostenible, acciones que constituyen una coordinación clave para la lucha contra el hambre y la obesidad. La década de la agricultura familiar es un marco propicio para diseñar e implementar colectivamente políticas económicas, medioambientales y sociales integrales para avanzar en el logro de los ODS, en particular los objetivos relacionados con la seguridad alimentaria y la nutrición. Es importante que las políticas orientadas a promover la década de la agricultura familiar y todas las medidas expuestas por el informe del GANESAN se vuelvan acciones concretas, ya que es urgente ejecutar medidas para aliviar el hambre de millones de personas en el mundo. Y esta es la razón principal por la que hoy nos encontramos hoy reunidos en este 47 periodo de sesiones del CCA. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Yep. Thank you very much for your statement, Costa Rica. Now I give the floor to Australia, followed by Cote d'Ivoire, and then Iran. Yeah, Australia, please.
Thank you, Chair. Australia thanks all of the presenters today, both for their commitment to food security and nutrition, and for taking the time to be a part of CFS 47 to share knowledge and generate evidence-based policy discussion. As mentioned in the 15th HLPE report, there is a need for all of us to continue to deepen our understanding of food security if we are to achieve SDG 2, and these discussions today certainly serve to do this. Australia supports the key messages of the report about the need to strengthen and consolidate conceptual thinking around food systems and nutrition, address the challenges, and harness the opportunities linked to major trends and drivers of food systems change, and adopt policy approaches and actions which uphold an holistic view of food security. We also welcome the recommendation that the next decade should focus on accelerating the implementation of policies and innovative solutions, and we consider the United Nations Food Systems Summit as an integral part of this action. We take the opportunity today to briefly highlight 3 concepts among the many explored in the report, which we consider important. Firstly, the need to recognise that food systems and nutrition issues are context-specific and require diverse solutions tailored to local conditions and knowledge. Australia emphasises the importance of this and reflects on the lost time to policy arguments about which solution is the better solution, often at the neglect of the diversity of circumstance around the globe. Secondly, the importance of the 3 pillars or dimensions of sustainability. In particular, the need for coherent policy which strives for optimum balance across these pillars, while taking into account the potential trade-offs which play into overall sustainability performance of food systems. And thirdly, the importance of interconnectedness. There is no simple solution to achieving SDG 2, and maintaining a multifaceted approach and establishing policies that recognise the complexity of food systems as well as their interconnectedness with other systems such as health and social protection is critical. Australia emphasises the importance of considering international trade as a part of these efforts, with a view to harnessing its potential to improve economic growth, livelihoods, food security and nutrition and food safety. We also note the value of the increased focus on One Health. Australia takes the opportunity today to note our commitment to the Food Systems Summit. Through this important process, we hope to clearly demonstrate how Australia is helping to address pressing global issues such as hunger, malnutrition, climate change, and environmental degradation. With a focus on areas such as agricultural innovation, food loss and waste, biodiversity, and climate resilience, we hope to contribute to a toolbox of solutions that are balanced, science-based, and acknowledge that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to achieving the SDGs. Finally, we conclude today by reminding everyone of a comment David Beasley made during a CFS high-level special event last October. That is, we shouldn't tear down the food systems we've designed, but continue to improve them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Australia, for your statement. Now I give the floor to Cote d'Ivoire, followed by Iran, please. Cote d'Ivoire.
La sécurité alimentaire
excuse me,
et la nutrition,
to the microphone, please.
Volet important de la stratégie de réduction de la pauvreté est l'un des objectifs prioritaires de la Côte d'Ivoire dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre des objectifs de développement durable ODD. En Côte d'Ivoire, le riz est devenu l'aliment principal de la population avec une consommation estimée à plus de 2 200 000 tonnes de riz blanchi par an, soit environ 84 kg par an et par habitant. Pour combler le déficit de production locale de riz, les importations ont porté en moyenne ces dernières années sur environ 1 million de tonnes par an, avec des sorties de devises de plus de 300 milliards de francs CFA. Aussi, à l'initiative du ministère de la Promotion de la Riziculture, le gouvernement de la Côte d'Ivoire a adopté le 11 mars 2020 une stratégie nationale de développement de la riziculture sur la période 2020-2030. Cette stratégie a pour objectif, premièrement, d'assurer l'autosuffisance en riz de bonne qualité avant 2025 et deuxièmement, de faire de la Côte d'Ivoire un des plus grands producteurs africains exportateurs de riz à l'horizon 2030. La mise en œuvre de cette stratégie prendra en compte la gestion rationnelle des ressources en eau, la mise en place de projets rizicoles intégrés par le secteur privé qui devient le moteur du développement de la riziculture car intervenant sur toute la chaîne de valeur du riz c'est-à-dire de la production jusqu'à la commercialisation en passant par la transformation. En effet, le défi pour nous aujourd'hui est de basculer progressivement d'une riziculture traditionnelle de subsistance non rentable et pluviale à une riziculture moderne, compétitive, rentable, durable et respectueuse de l'environnement. En outre, la stratégie nationale de développement de la riziculture 2020-2030 va contribuer à la politique d'enrichissement des aliments, dont le riz, prôné actuellement par le gouvernement. Au total, elle se présente comme l'un des meilleurs moyens d'assurer la sécurité alimentaire et la nutrition en Côte d'Ivoire. La Côte d'Ivoire félicite donc le CSA pour l'organisation de la présente rencontre, souscrit à la vision globale 2030 de la sécurité alimentaire et de la nutrition et espère que le prochain sommet mondial sur le système agroalimentaire prendra en compte ce genre d'expérience nationale que la Côte d'Ivoire vient de partager au bénéfice des autres pays. Je vous remercie.
Thank you for your remark. Now we will give the floor to Iran, please, followed by, sorry, on my list, it should be Dominican Republic and then Ecuador. Iran, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to express my appreciation for the opportunity to address the 47th session of CFS. Meanwhile, we appreciate and recognize the report presented by Hlpe to the committee. As we could hear from the presentation of the report of the state of food security and nutrition in the world, unfortunately, we are not still on the track to reach the SDGs by the 2030 deadline. Even before the outbreak of COVID-19, the state of global food security and nutrition was already alarming, with an estimated average of 821 million people undernourished and poor nutrition, causing nearly 45% of the deaths of the children under 5. Referring to the report, beyond immediate health concern from the COVID-19 crisis, short, medium, and long-term impacts of the pandemic are expected on food systems and on food security and nutrition. Besides COVID-19, which is now an urgent world priority, there are still many causes which threaten the world food security and nutrition, like increasing conflicts, climate change, growing and natural disasters, the imposition and unilateral and coercive measures like trade war and sanctions. Obviously, all of them affected world food security and nutrition, and the most affected will be the poorest and most vulnerable segment of the population. Food security and nutrition outcomes in recent years shows the extent to which the global community is falling short on the Agenda 2030 targets, especially SDG 2, and that food systems face a range of challenges and some opportunities linked to the major trends in the drivers of food system change. We believe there is an urgent need for strengthening and consolidating conceptual attitude around FSN to prioritize the right to food, to widen our understanding of food security, and to adopt food system analytic and policy framework. Policy approaches and actions for FSN in light of the diverse challenges facing food systems, we request critical policy shift and support for enabling conditions that uphold the 6 dimensions of food security. In this regard, we believe the voluntary guideline on food systems and nutrition could introduce a right direction to achieve SDG 2 in remaining time. At the same time, we believe that CFS should play a leading role in the Food System Summit in the current year. Having that, Iran fully supports and call made by United Nations Secretary General for decade of action on SDGs implementation and stand ready to play its role in coordination with other UN members for achieving SDG 2 in the years to come. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Iran, for your statement. Now I give the floor to Dominican Republic, followed by Ecuador and Peru. Dominican Republic, the floor is yours.
Gracias, señor presidente. En sus declaraciones durante la sesión de apertura, los líderes de las tres agencias coincidieron en la urgencia de tomar acciones concretas para transformar los sistemas alimentarios. Conscientes de que todas las evidencias apuntan a un deterioro en el trayecto a 2030, desde hace años República Dominicana llama la atención del Comité a la necesidad de dejar atrás las prácticas ordinarias, llamadas business as usual. La irrupción de la pandemia ha empeorado todos los indicadores y el nuevo informe del GANESAN hace sonar las alarmas. Además de la crisis del clima, de los conflictos armados y de las migraciones que ambos fenómenos provocan, la crisis desatada por el COVID está dejando atrás a cientos de millones de personas. Quienes se quedan atrás son, de manera desproporcionada, mujeres y niños en el llamado sur global. Afortunadamente, el GANESAN no solo ofrece una visión del desastre que nos arropa, los aspectos del brazo académico y científico del CSA también plantean soluciones concretas. El GANESAN nos invita a cambiar el modo de concebir la formulación de políticas partiendo del derecho humano fundamental a la alimentación que la Comunidad de Naciones aprobó como Declaración Universal en 1948 y en la Constitución Dominicana reconoce de modo expreso en su artículo 54. En 2004 adoptamos directrices voluntarias del CSA para incorporar el derecho a la alimentación al ordenamiento jurídico de los Estados miembros, lo cual República Dominicana ha hecho a través de una ley de soberanía y seguridad alimentaria y nutricional, cuya aplicación es supervisada por una red de actores que asimila el modelo inclusivo de este comité. El GANESAN nos advierte que debemos transformar ahora y no después los sistemas alimentarios, reconociendo las dificultades para hacerlo. La crisis generalizada que la pandemia ha generado es también una oportunidad para tomar conciencia. La narrativa hacia 2030 reúne dos dimensiones. Puede ser la crónica de una devastación de proporciones históricas, al mismo tiempo puede ser una hoja de ruta para que el recorrido de los próximos 9 años nos lleve a la erradicación del hambre y de todas las formas de malnutrición. Depende de nosotros, aquí y ahora, y a lo largo de esta semana, dar los pasos hacia el segundo resultado, es decir, identificando soluciones basadas en la ciencia y tomando decisiones de consenso para adoptar directrices y recomendaciones constructivas y coherentes. Los hambrientos no pueden esperar. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Dominican Republic, for your intervention. Now I give the floor to Ecuador, followed by Peru and Nicaragua. Ecuador, please.
Muchas gracias, presidente. Se agradece el informe presentado por la profundidad de su análisis relativo a las dimensiones de la seguridad alimentaria como son arbitrio, la sostenibilidad, disponibilidad, acceso, utilización y estabilidad, reforzando las conceptualizaciones e interpretaciones jurídicas del derecho a la alimentación. En el marco legal ecuatoriano reconoce plenamente la importancia del derecho a la alimentación y los deberes de la naturaleza, determinados tanto en la Constitución vigente, en la Ley Orgánica de Salud y en la Ley Orgánica de Soberanía Alimentaria. Nuestro país se encuentra en el mismo contexto de afectación por la pandemia que el resto del mundo. lo cual sumado a problemáticas preexistentes ponen en riesgo el derecho a la alimentación de sus ciudadanos. Los resultados de seguridad alimentaria y nutrición en los últimos años demuestran que todavía no se han alcanzado las metas de la Agenda 2030, en particular el ODS 2 y los desafíos presentes nos alejan aún más de esas metas. Sin embargo, como fortaleza del país, hago una especial mención a los saberes ancestrales de sus pueblos y nacionalidades. Sus culturas están ligadas a la convivencia con la naturaleza, no con la explotación de la naturaleza, y como complemento excepcional, Ecuador conserva aún su agrobiodiversidad, que constituye un potencial invaluable ante el panorama actual para satisfacer las necesidades de alimentación humanas presentes y futuras. Es responsabilidad del Estado velar por la preservación de las culturas originarias y de su entorno natural. Desde el nivel de gobernanza de las entidades públicas se están fortaleciendo las políticas intersectoriales orientadas a fomentar y proteger la lactancia materna, la alimentación basada en alimentos naturales y mínimamente procesados, así como a enlazar las acciones entre el sector educativo y sanitario como estrategia fundamental para dar sostenibilidad a las intervenciones orientadas a una alimentación saludable. Ecuador manifiesta su acuerdo con la propuesta de fortalecer y consolidar la reflexión conceptual en torno a la seguridad alimentaria y la nutrición, el derecho a la alimentación y la importancia de adoptar un marco analítico y normativo para los sistemas alimentarios sostenibles como única opción para los próximos años. Resulta impostergable que los países adopten marcos y enfoques de políticas de forma coherente y congruente con los sistemas alimentarios y sus actores. Para ello, es esencial formular políticas participativas para fortalecer los sistemas alimentarios sostenibles a fin de hacerlos más resilientes ante la crisis, equitativos e inclusivos, empoderados y respetuosos, regenerativos, saludables y nutritivos, productivos y prósperos para todos, especialmente para la población más vulnerable. Es innegable que uno de los problemas fundamentales es la producción agrícola, que contribuye de forma sustancial a la emisión de gases invernadero, por lo que es imperioso replantear los sistemas alimentarios de tal forma que ese impacto altamente perjudicial para el medio ambiente resulte progresivamente menor. Sin duda, el informe expone con vasta claridad cuáles son los cambios en los sistemas alimentarios a realizarse ante esta época extremadamente desafiante para disminuir el altísimo riesgo de inseguridad alimentaria, desnutrición, hambrunas y otras derivadas del cambio climático. Por tanto, son las autoridades nacionales y líderes mundiales los llamados a encabezar los cambios impostergables, involucrando a la sociedad en general como protagonistas de esta ineludible transformación. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Ecuador, for your remark. Now, I think I have a list of the countries who will deliver their statement. We will continue with Peru, and then followed by Nicaragua, and after that Timor-Leste. And if any country would like to raise or would like to take the floor, please raise your hand. Now I give the floor to Peru, please.
Es un honor intervenir al nombre del Perú en el 47 periodo de sesiones del CSA. Nuestro país reconoce la labor del GANESAN y agradece por la presentación del informe titulado Seguridad Alimentaria y Nutrición, elaborar una descripción global de cara al 2030. El Perú no es ajeno a los problemas de una producción de alimentos que pone en riesgo la sostenibilidad del planeta, por lo que reconocemos la necesidad de superar los enormes desafíos que presentan los sistemas alimentarios actuales, los cuales se han profundizado y se han hecho visibles durante el contexto actual de la pandemia por el COVID-2019. La seguridad alimentaria y la nutrición, la producción responsable y sostenible, y las oportunidades económicas que brinden medios de vida adecuados, constituyen tres ámbitos para avanzar en la transformación de los sistemas alimentarios actuales. En el ámbito de la seguridad alimentaria y la nutrición, el Perú ha enfatizado en la disponibilidad y acceso ininterrumpido de los alimentos durante la pandemia del COVID-19. Estas acciones, implementadas con enfoque agroecológico y de inclusión, muestran no solo el compromiso para fortalecer los aspectos positivos, del sistema alimentario nacional, sino también para promover su resiliencia a través de la coherencia normativa y de acciones para acceder a dietas nutritivas, inocuas, asequibles y sostenibles. Cabe destacar que necesitamos reforzar el enfoque centrado en el hambre y todas las formas de malnutrición, y para ello una efectiva educación nutricional que permita fomentar cambios de hábitos alimentarios y de comportamiento de los consumidores es sumamente importante. Por lo que la coordinación activa con el CSA, los alcances del informe del GANESAN y las directrices voluntarias sobre sistemas alimentarios y nutrición brindarán mayores luces sobre los marcos de intervención oportunos y efectivos para lograr principalmente la transformación efectiva del sistema alimentario nacional y alcanzar los objetivos, principalmente el número 2, para lo cual manifestamos nuestro compromiso y disposición de un trabajo colaborativo con el CSA y las partes interesadas para este fin. Consideramos importante lograr consensuar una estrategia nacional, regional y mundial para avanzar sustantivamente en los progresos hacia el cumplimiento del ODS 2, donde la contribución de la Cumbre de las Naciones Unidas sobre sistemas alimentarios será esencial para catalizar los esfuerzos para asegurar mayores resultados y lograr la seguridad alimentaria para todos. Por ello, acogemos positivamente este informe especializado y consideramos pertinente su aporte para la organización de la cumbre, así como la necesaria participación del CSA y del GANESAN en la preparación de esta. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Nick, for your statement. And now I give the floor to Timor-Leste.
Sorry, that was Peru, Mr. Chair, that just gave a statement. So Nicaragua is waiting.
Sorry for my mistake. Now I give the floor to Nicaragua, followed by Timor-Leste as an observer. Nicaragua, the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Agradecemos al CSA, al GANESAN por la preparación y presentación del informe, el cual consideramos, a la luz de los grandes desafíos que tenemos en adelante, un importante documento de reflexión. Permítanme recordar que teníamos ya un escenario preocupante, con más de 820 millones de personas que padecían hambre, situación dramáticamente empeorada por la pandemia que nos llegó inesperadamente en el 2020. Toda previsión indica que el impacto de esta generará otros cientos de millones de seres humanos hambrientos alrededor del mundo en los próximos años. Esto demuestra, señor presidente, cuán delicada puede ser la línea que separa los logros alcanzados en la lucha por la erradicación del hambre y la malnutrición y los acelerados retrocesos de en estos avances. Por lo tanto, señor presidente, consideramos necesario asumirnos la responsabilidad de identificar y aplicar rápidamente todas las medidas necesarias que permitan fortalecer la resiliencia y las capacidades de adaptación de los sistemas alimentarios a nivel nacional y mundial, en consideración a las múltiples variables para lograr un verdadero desarrollo sostenible en sus tres dimensiones: social, económico y ambiental. En este sentido, tenemos que recordar que el punto de partida es y seguirá siendo la lucha contra la pobreza. Nicaragua, incluso durante la pandemia, ha continuado impulsando imponentes programas y estrategias, en especial dirigidos a los sectores más desprotegidos, para garantizar el derecho a su alimentación, contrarrestar el COVID y en preservar nuestra economía. Esto nos ha permitido mantener los niveles de producción, garantizar el suministro de alimentos a la población e incluso aumentar las exportaciones de productos agropecuarios en un contexto mundial tan complicado. Señor presidente, si bien como indicado en el informe, las metas de la Agenda 2030 parecen alejarse cada vez más, tenemos que hacer tesoro de las lecciones aprendidas en estos últimos años e incluso las lecciones que nos deja la pandemia. El tema de seguridad alimentaria y nutricional es un tema muy articulado. Consideramos que las coordinaciones internacionales, la transformación de los sistemas alimentarios sin menoscabo de la producción, el uso de las nuevas tecnologías, la innovación, la digitalización, los programas de recuperación y respuesta, las cadenas de suministro y el comercio serán las tareas que debemos asumirnos para no retroceder aún más y avanzar en nuestra principal misión como organización, que es la erradicación del hambre y la pobreza. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Nicaragua, for your country statement. Now I would like to give the floor to Timor-Leste as an observer. Timor-Leste, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the floor. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not sure that you have any other device that your telephone or any other laptop that or you can remove your laptop or your mobile phone away from microphone, please. Yeah, please try. I think you have to unmute first. Yeah, maybe our secretariat can or technician can help to unmute. Can you?
We've just sent a request to unmute. There we go. Should be.
Okay. Please wait for a while. Timor-Leste, we will help you to deliver your statement.
Thank you for the floor.
Okay, please. Please.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the committee of 47th session of CFS registered Timor-Leste to participate in this great event, and it's appreciated and acknowledged. Ladies and gentlemen, Timor-Leste has applied for CFS member in 2015 when Timor-Leste participated in the second section of CFS in Rome. Please notify Timor-Leste for the full membership application. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Timor-Leste is committed to ensure the implementation of food security and nutrition based on National Food Security Policy of Timor-Leste. For this, there were stages that has been implemented by Timor-Leste to achieve the objective of national food security. Comoro Declaration in 2010 is fighting against hunger. We also have established of the Consultative Council of Food Security at the national level, which involve 7 line ministries to achieve food security and nutrition programs. Timor-Leste also adopted Zero Hunger in 2014, as well as implemented the 2005 National Food Security, which is revised in 2017 after became member of FAO in November 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to implement the food security, the government has invested in agriculture sector as priority to achieve the SDG 2. On the occasion of 45th session of CFS in Rome, Timor-Leste was involved in side event, which is have discussed deeply about family farming for UN decade and also planning for the implementation of family farming activities for 2019 and 2020. Timor-Leste financial support to address the implementation of family farming activities and programs. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2019, Timor-Leste also joined with CPLP countries members to design food system. Lastly, As the pandemic of COVID-19 impact, Timor-Leste also taken some actions for social and economic impact by implementing cash for vulnerable people, food basket package for all citizens, and also for the medium and long period implementing program of economic recovery, focusing in sustainable agricultural production. For all programs related to the food security and nutrition, Timor-Leste is working in close collaboration with UN agencies and development partners, particularly FAO and WFP, as we also started with national dialogue as the preparation for the next food summit. This is one of our commitments to make sure leaving no one behind. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Thank you very much, Timor-Leste, for your statement. And also we wish to welcome Timor-Leste to be the members of the CFS very soon. And we will also ask the Secretariat to coordinate with your respective agencies to become the members of the CFS. And also I would like to take this opportunity to encourage all others members who are not yet the members of the CFS to be part of our platform, to be part of our committee. And as our Secretary Chris Hagedorn mentioned this morning, the membership of CFS is no cost or is free. And that's why we would like to encourage all of you to be part of this committee and also to take part in our discussions and also our policies are convergence. Now we finished the list of the country speakers, and next I will give the floor to the CFS stakeholders. I will start from Gate Foundations. Gate, you have the floor.
My name is Ahmad Bahalim. My colleagues and I here at the Gates Foundation would like to thank Ambassador Tien Sen for his leadership and would like to congratulate the CFS Secretariat for organizing this virtual session of the plenary. We've gathered with partners here at the CFS since 2008-9 food crisis. Disturbingly, for the last 5 years, the number of hungry in the world has gone up, a reversal in progress made over decades. Yet, our current moment is unique. The pandemic is driving more people into hunger, and desert locusts are ravaging the fields of the vulnerable. We may yet be in the midst of another significant crisis. The discussion today on a common narrative and the groundwork laid by the CFS and the Hlpe is welcome. We cannot tackle the problem of hunger, crisis or not, if we do not pay it heed. With the UN Food Systems Summit this fall, we may have a critical moment to draw global attention to the worsening trends on hunger, the challenge of adapting agriculture to climate change, and the need for economic recovery for the most vulnerable from the COVID-19 pandemic. As the Hlpe noted last year, the impact of the COVID-19 crisis has been profound, revealing many aspects of the food systems that require urgent rethinking and reform if we are to assure food security and the right to food for all. A food systems approach which emphasizes interconnectivity between people, the planet, and health is potentially a useful frame for linking these elements of our community's discussions to the global agenda, drawing friends and allies. The role of this unique forum, the CFS, the role of all our friends and colleagues here, is not only to bring attention to crises and problems. Our role here with you all is to find constructive solutions and to collaborate. As we delve into the discussion today, we'd like to express appreciation for the breadth of the challenge we face and suggest that we find points of commonality. The SDGs continue to be the most sophisticated and thoroughly vetted development targets, representing consensus from government, civil society, and the private sector. Therefore, we encourage the CFS and its stakeholders to consider how existing points of consensus, such as SDG 2 and its targets, could be leveraged for both a common narrative and a common solution. A systems approach is essential for understanding the complexity of the multidimensional challenges we face. This should not lead to inaction. Rather, it can offer refinement to what we've already agreed to accomplish by 2030. This means that all of us here can lead the charge to invest in what we know works, track progress through better data, and build an agricultural development architecture that delivers on the SDG 2 agenda. We support earlier interventions from Canada and New Zealand on the data workstream, as these are concrete actions that we can collectively take as a part of our work at the CFS. And with that, I thank you.
Yep, thank you very much, Gate Foundation, for your statement. And thank you for your continued support to the work of CFS. Now, I would like to give the floor to CSM, Civil Society Mechanism, followed by PSM. CSM, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Respectful greetings to all present today. My name is Nicole Llanes. I'm an indigenous youth from the Hlpe Nation, whose territories lie were what is known now as Sonora, Mexico, and Arizona, United States. I represent the International Indian Treaty Council, a long-standing indigenous organization, and I'm a member of the youth working group of the Civil Society and Indigenous Peoples Mechanism. As others in the CSM have shared and made clear, COVID-19 and the responses of governments are having devastating impacts on young people in our communities around the globe. The combined health and food crises have shown that neoliberal approaches to food, economic systems, governance, and development are not working. Not only are they part of the problem, creating the underlying hunger, poverty, environmental destruction, and social exclusion that responses to COVID-19 have exacerbated, but they're unable to offer solution to this unfolding crises. It's time for our food systems to be transformed, as many have mentioned. In October, we presented our youth demands for a radical transformation of our food systems, where we outlined our vision and steps towards building better futures for the coming generations. We will share a link to our youth policy declaration in the chat, and we asked and urge you to read it. We will also present it at the Developing Effective Policy Responses to COVID-19, which is our side event tomorrow. We welcome the HLPE's Global Narrative Report as the first step towards this necessary transformation. The HLPE plays a crucial role in global food system governance and is the only body in the UN system mandated and capable of providing scientific multidisciplinary expertise. The report's emphasis on human rights, agency, sustainability, and food systems approach, as well as its critique of current governance models, offers pathways for rebuilding our broken food systems. The report offers crucial guidance for states and for the international community. This guidance should form the basis of policy. The report also comes at a crucial moment. COVID-19 is devastating populations and exacerbating already deeply entrenched inequalities. Putting food systems under intense international scrutiny, the CFS is the intergovernmental forum with the knowledge, expertise, and mandate to coordinate a global policy response to the pandemic. However, initiatives like the Food Systems Summit threaten to undermine the role of the CFS in leading this response, as they reinforce the same dynamics that are responsible for destroying the planet and pushing millions into food insecurity. Our final intervention as the CSM will be on the Food Systems Summit. Yet the Global Narratives Report is about to be forgotten. We urge CFS member states to ensure this does not happen. And we have two proposals to ensure the utilization for the report. First, we ask the CFS to include in the MyPow a commitment to continuing the work stream on COVID-19 as per the stemming from the recommendations in the HLPE Global Narratives and COVID-19 report. Not only is it absolutely urgent to transform on food systems, but the CFS is the right international intergovernmental body to take up this vital project. We ask the CFS to discuss in greater detail the recommendations from the Global Narrative Report. We ask that the Global Narratives Report inform the agroecology policy process, which is currently underway as well. Second, we recommend that the CFS use the Global Narratives Report as the basis of its submission to the Food Systems Summit, and that it asks the Food Systems Summit to use the report as the basis of its collective work. To conclude, when we speak about urgency and change, it's not just words. The urgency is a reality that needs to be addressed. Our communities are hurting and our rights keep being violated. As youth, we worry the world that we inherit and that the generations to come are being left with is not going to be livable. While we continue to create solutions to sustainable food systems in our communities, it is in your hands that a global transformation of the global food system takes place so that no one goes hungry or continues to die from malnutrition. Thank you for your time and attention today.
Yeah, thank you very much, CSM, for your statement to the committee. Now I give the floor to Private Sector Mechanism, PSM, please.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to look towards 2030. As my farming colleague said earlier this morning, we have concerns with the paradigm of this report and the zero draft of the youth report. First, as a woman with my own business in the food safety sector, I do not understand the gap in recognising the role of the private sector in this proposed narrative, nor the early draft of the one on youth. I work extensively with groups trying to mentor young people into agriculture and food, and I myself have benefited from being a scholar in a global mentorship programme. Our narrative for 2030 must surely be one that encourages youth, women, Indigenous communities, and others to embrace a future in agriculture. Instead, the theory of change built into the document seems to say that the entire food system is not working. Mr. Chairman, having worked through the COVID crisis with agricultural businesses trying to ensure food safety, worker safety, and still get food to people, I think there is a lot to be commended this year. Efforts, though imperfect, were superhuman. In respect, the theory of change in this document is interesting, but is framed in rather black-white, either-or scenarios. For instance, the discussion of the digital revolution does little apart from listing a series of problems and concerns rather than examining the progress being made. FAO's own website provides much relevant information. As PSM, we note we submitted many vital references of work from FAO, IFID, OECD, and Hlpe, and others as citations to building a stronger narrative, and have done so on the youth paper as well. We were candidly disappointed not to see any of these pieces of research taken up in the final narrative. Even the HLP's own 2018 report, Multi-Stakeholder Partnerships to Finance and Improve Food Security and Nutrition in the Framework of the 2030 Agenda, was not cited, though it provides basis for cooperation. Mr. Chairman, these are difficult times when we must band together as never before to get through it together. That means showing respect for our people who are day-to-day food heroes while encouraging leadership towards a better system. Surely our narrative towards 2030 can include more themes of hope and opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PSM, for your remark. Now I finished the list of the speakers. Before I give the floor to the members of Hlpe high-level panel of experts. I know that now the chairs of the steering committee of Hlpe, it is very late in Australia already. I assume that vice chairs of steering committees is here with us, and also perhaps Dr. Jennifer Klatz or others members of Hlpe will respond to some points raised by members and also other stakeholders. And after that, I will also give the floor to Mr. Martin Flick, rapporteur of this session, to address to all of you. However, before I give the floor to Hlpe members and also Mr. Martin Flick, rapporteur, I would like to remind you of the decisions taken by the CFS Bureau about how these sessions will be captured in the CFS 47 final report. For these sessions, there is a short draft conclusion, which is a formal session document, which will be part of the final report. And regarding the delegates' statements on the CFS Hlpe report number 15, building global narrative toward 2030. This will be addressed in a rapporteur summary, which will be appended to the CFS final report as an annex. It's just only to remind you how we proceed and also how we capture all of the discussions in the final report. Now I would like to give the floor to Dr. Bernard Lehman, Vice Chair of the Steering Committee of Hlpe, and then perhaps Dr. Jennifer Claps, or I'm not sure that how you're going to organize, or if others members would like to take the floor. Now I give the floor to Vice Chair of Hlpe Steering Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We thank you all for the rich comments you made, distinguished guests, for we have all to learn together. My colleague Jennifer Clapp will give you a feedback on behalf of the Hlpe. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard.
Yep, thank you very much. I give the floor to Jennifer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ambassador Thiessen, and also to Bernard, Vice Chair of the Hlpe, for the opportunity to come back and make a few comments at the end of the country delegation statements and the other stakeholder statements, PSM and CSM. First, we would like to acknowledge the important inputs from the distinguished delegates at this meeting, especially their suggestions for information on and case studies that can help to deepen our understanding and enrich the work of the Hlpe on these issues, as in the Global Narrative Report, as well as in future work going forward. We would also like to thank the distinguished delegates for their reflections on our conceptual suggestions around the concepts of agency and sustainability as dimensions of food security. These ideas, as we noted, are grounded in the scientific literature and are already implied in definitions of food security, though we recognize that these ideas and the specific terminology will need to be considered by CFS members in their plenary deliberations. We're grateful for the comments made on the importance of youth engagement in agriculture, as well as women and questions of inequality. And we would like to note that we are making good progress on the youth report. That's the 16th report of the Hlpe. And we're looking forward to our future work on inequality. And we invite all of the distinguished delegates for inputs and especially reference to case studies that can be brought to our attention to enrich our studies. We recognize and acknowledge the difficulties of mapping out pathways for transformative change while at the same time advocating for context-specific solutions. We recognize that what we offered in this report is high-level policy advice that can inform proactive work within local contexts, as well as future Hlpe work on specific issues. We also appreciate the comments highlighted by many distinguished delegates regarding the current crisis of food insecurity in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we appreciate the inputs on the need for inclusive financing for sustainable food production for a variety of food system actors, as was pointed out by several delegates, which is important for future consideration in CFS as well as Hlpe work. And finally, we recognize that an analysis that recognizes complex intersystem connections would be incomplete if it did not consider economic systems, including the question of trade. And we would like to clarify that we were implying the need for coordination across governance systems, including between food security governance systems such as the CFS, as well as trade governance forums. And we also would like to clarify as well our intention to stress the complementarity between facilitating international trade on one hand, as well as efforts to support sustainable food systems at the local and regional levels. So with that, I would like to say I very much appreciated all of the comments from the distinguished delegates and appreciate the opportunity to come back and say a few words at the end of these discussions. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, our Jennifers and also our vice chairs of Hlpe for your response to the comment and suggestions of our members and also other stakeholders. I see hands raised by CSM, and also I'm not sure the other person, Valentina. Could you please identify yourself as well, or rename your organization or countries that you are from? Otherwise, before I give the floor to Martin Flick, our rapporteur of this session, I may give the floor to CSM to deliver their statement one more time. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. I see. Okay. Okay. Let's say I give the floor to CSM first, and then I give the floor to members of Hlpe. Yep. Okay. CSM, please.
Good afternoon, delegates, and to the CFS chair, and thank you for giving us the floor. We just wanted to take the floor again to first of all, once again, welcome wholeheartedly the publication of this report, and thank the Hlpe team for providing a strong grounding for strategic thinking on the future of food systems based on their in-depth knowledge and evidence. It comes at a crucial moment in the history of food governance, during a year in which the food system will come under scrutiny in several different UN conferences. There's no other body in the UN system quite like the combination of the high-level panel of experts with its scientific and multidisciplinary expertise, and the CFS, which is grounded in human rights with its democratic mandate, also on global policy coherence, and ensuring the voice of food producers and rights holders in decision-making. As the Hlpe shows, we can only make progress on using all 4 recommendations of the report: cementing the right to food, strengthening conceptually the dimensions of the pillars of food security, adopting a food system analysis, and making the important policy shifts that they recommend. Given all this, we are very worried in the CSM about the current direction to fold all the most important CFS achievements, knowledge, and potentially future roles into the UN Food System Summit. The UN Food System Summit is potentially taking the place of the democratic multilateral system, including the CFS and the Rome-based agencies for the governance of food, yet without recognizing their leading role and without upholding the rights and responsibilities of states as the main actor, the rights of peoples, and instead giving a leading role to the corporate sector via the World Economic Forum. We in the CSM, and with wide support from many different civil society organizations, are clear that in its current form, the UN Food System Summit does not address the challenges or recommendations made by the Global Narrative Report. The format and content of the summit undermines rather than promotes the right to food, which gets just a passing mention in 1 of 5 action tracks, and human rights principles more broadly are not mainstreamed in any of the UN Food System Summit processes to date. While paying lip service to the need for transformation, the action tracks are still narrowly focused on productivity and market-led solutions instead of a deep food systems analysis. The Food System Summit talks about sustainability without cementing states' responsibility for implementing human rights. It claims to address equitable livelihoods, but without tackling the fundamental issue of corporate control and concentration in the food system, and the corporate capture of policymaking spaces. The summit claims to be a people summit, but does not recognize our autonomy or self-determination in our participation. We also believe it's undermining the agency of the most marginalized peoples in its process and content. The process is based on the notion of multiple stakeholders with equal places. However, this approach disregards power asymmetries and the unequal ways in which people are impacted by inequalities, and the fact that some of us are rights holders, and some of us must be held to holding those rights. This includes our right for participation in decisive processes for the elaboration of food policies. We would like to remind all the delegates here that a letter sent by over 550 global civil society and indigenous peoples organizations to the UN Secretary General outlining our concerns remains unanswered. So I hope the delegates gathered here can appreciate that because of these fundamental concerns, the CSM cannot participate in or endorse the summit in its current form. We will be communicating a letter with the CFS chair with more detail on our positions on the UN Food System Summit this week. Many thanks for the floor.
Thank you very much, our civil society mechanism, for your statement. Now I give the floor to Italy. Italy, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and excuse me for having raised my hand too late. First of all, I would like to congratulate for the presentation of the Hlpe document, Food Security and Nutrition. Italy proudly hosts UN Hub devoted to food and nutrition and is equally honored to host the CFS, so much valuable for its inclusiveness. We know that its role is key for achieving food security and nutrition for all, and more broadly, the 2030 Agenda objectives towards the Food System Summit and beyond. This year, my country will also have the honor to host the pre-summit, being at the same time president of the G20. The Food Coalition, an initiative launched by Italy within FAO last spring, and which has now become a FAO program aimed at raising funds, expertise, and other forms of commitment in support of food security at a global level, specifically to mitigate the impact of the pandemic on food system, will be at the core of G20 agenda. It shows the importance given by Italy to food security and nutrition, more than ever to address the dramatic consequences of pandemic on food system. The multi-stakeholder format of CFS will be particularly important to promote the exchange and sharing at the heart of the Food Coalition initiative. Italy will also continue its action on promoting sustainable healthy diets, encouraging the safeguard of traditional and healthy diets as a model of healthy nutrition and lifestyle for current and future generation. In this spirit, we look forward to the adoption of the voluntary guidelines on food system and nutrition this week. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Italy, for your statement. Now I would like to give the floor to Hungary, please. Hungary, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I hope you can.
We cannot hear you clearly and loud. Could you please? Yeah.
Can you hear me
sure.
now?
Very good, very good. Loud and clear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Sorry for coming late. I had some other commitments. Unfortunately, it will follow the whole process. Anyway, first of all, we would like to say that we fully align ourselves with the statement made by the European Union and its member states. We also welcome the Hlpe report, which clearly highlights the urgency of engaging food system in an in-depth transformation. The current COVID-19 has confirmed the urgent need to transform food system and to make them more sustainable. As we enter in the last decade of 2030, Hlpe is right in its assessment to highlight the need to implement effective policies to achieve SDGs, not only SDG 2, but all the rest of the SDGs, which all the SDGs having strong interlinkages. For these reasons, we also support the priority given to sustainable agricultural approaches, such as agroecology. And we would also like to highlight the role of family farmers and welcome the activities in the framework of the UN Decade of Family Farmers. We agree with the need to have a broader approach to hunger and malnutrition in all its forms. and as well as science and evidence-based policy recommendations. Evidence and neutral science should include an overall assessment of all food systems, including assessment of all positive and negative externalities, particularly the hidden costs, as we could see it also in the SOFI 2020 report. This assessment can and should be the basis for policy incentives, guiding the decisions of all stakeholders to transform food systems. The Hlpe's inclusive and multidisciplinary approach is unique and makes it highly relevant to address issues related to inequalities, gender, youth, environment, climate, and biodiversity. We strongly appreciate and support this dimension of this report. Finally, Mr. Chair, the UN Summit on Food System is a huge opportunity to develop sustainable and resilient food systems. The Committee on World Food Security and the Hlpe are unique and inclusive instruments that provide the recognized expertise. Moreover, the Hlpe reports are key insights for the Food System Summit. A strengthened Hlpe with a reaffirmed commitment from all CFS members and stakeholders, and the support to the UN Food System Summit has a strong legitimacy and potential to be a central actor in the follow-up actions into the summit. Food System Summit Secretariat, and in particular the Science Group, are strongly encouraged to better rely on the widely recognized expertise of the Hlpe and of the policy recommendations of CFS. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hungary, for your statement. Now I finish all the list of our speaker. I would like to remind you as well, please send us your country state or delegation statements or country statement that all of those statements can be posted on the CFS website. And please send your statements to our CFS Secretariat email, which actually you can see from the chat box as well, cfs@fao.org. Now I'm sure that Hlpe, you would like to take any reactions or respond to our statement of the members and other stakeholders. If none, I will give the floor to Martin Flick, our rapporteur. Now I would like to give the floor to Martin, please.
Thank you, Chair, and it's certainly not easy to sum up a rich discussion, as I have dozens of pages of notes here, which I will revisit this evening, but maybe a couple of preliminary remarks. I think there's a universal understanding, really, that the current COVID crisis is like a magnifying glass, telling us all of the things that do not work in our food systems, but are also magnifying what the PSM has just called heroic work of some people in the food systems who are literally risking their health and their life to keep supplies running, and that needs to be acknowledged. I think in the answers we have also seen the complexity of food systems with an S at the end, because clearly for food systems there is no one size fits all. There are many different and difficult situations that need to be addressed. There are hard conversations to be had, but one thing is something I think where everybody agreed is that we have to move out of our comfort zones. Food systems is not an issue for agricultural ministries and ministers only. It requires system thinking and requires thinking about environmental issues, health issues, transport, youth. Basically, an all of society approach is needed to come to the transformation of food systems that we really need. I have heard many delegations speaking about the imperative of climate change and building resilient food systems, and also ensuring that the contribution that food systems provide to climate change are being mitigated. And also a particular shared interest in improving the food situation in people in conflict situations. I think there's a common spirit that in the, as you know, Director Chu said at the outset, in the remaining 9 harvests to the 2030 agenda, our utmost focus has to be those who are furthest behind in the spirit of the 2030 agenda, to leave no one behind. I have also heard from many delegations how much of a guidance the 2030 vision of the HLPE should be for the Food System Summit. This is well noted, as much as the central role of the CFS. And if I may add a sentence in my role as deputy for the Food System Summit, I'm a little bit troubled that the same points that were made the beginning of last year are still there, despite really big efforts that have been made to address all of the core points, which we don't consider as fully satisfactorily addressed, but as a work in progress. And as you see our papers in the action tracks online, you will see how they constantly evolve. CSM did 3 interventions today. In the first intervention, there was a mentioning of an offer to the Food System Summit. I would be very interested to listening to this offer, but I would like to conclude by coming with an offer myself. It's not only that an institutional seat for the CSM is waiting for the CSM in every single action track. Institutional meaning you choose whom you want to have there, fully respecting your self-governance. I would really invite you to a conversation together with the 5 action tracks. So to really address those issues, which are important issues and that should be addressed by the Food System Summit. And I'm looking forward to go through the notes, and I hope I haven't left out any important point. If I did so, please tell me, but we took ample notes, and thank you again for the privilege to serve here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rapporteur Mr. Martin Flick, for your effort to capture the discussions of our members and also stakeholders of our CFS. And we know that it's very hard to capture all, and we know that you have hundreds of notes on your hand that you will review these. Yeah, right, you are right. But anyway, after this, we will have show you a short draft conclusion of these sessions. And also, I would like to remind you again that regarding the delegate statements on the CFS HLPE report number 15, during these sessions, these will be addressed in the rapporteur summary, which will be appended to the CFS final report as an annex. And then now, before we discuss the short conclusion of this session, I would like to propose to have a 5-minute break, and then we will come back around, let's say, 4:20 to discuss the conclusion of the session. Okay, we have a 5-minute break. Thank you. Delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I think now we can resume our plenary. Perhaps I can ask Secretariat to share the screen of the short draft conclusion of this session. Can you, yeah. Could you please enlarge or zoom in a bit? The member can see it clearly. Yeah, okay. Now we come to almost the end of today's session, which actually now is 4:30 or 4:20, and I hope that we finished earlier. Now is a draft conclusion of session 2. I will read out paragraph by paragraph, at least you can, for your understanding and also for helping interpretations as well. Paragraph 1, the committee welcomed the keynote intervention made by Mr. Martin Cole, chairperson of the steering committee high-level panel of experts on food securities and nutrition, HLPE, and acknowledged with appreciation the work of the CFS HLPE steering committee and its project team on the preparation of its 15th report entitled Food Securities and Nutrition, Building a Global Narrative Toward 2030, and the presentation made by Ms. Jennifer Clapp, HLPE Steering Committee Team Leader. Second, the committee took note that the CFS chairperson would prepare a chair's summary as stipulated in para 70 of the document CFS 2019/46/7 CFS Multi-Year Program of Work MyPow for 2020 to 2023 to be appended to the CFS 47 final report. 3. The committee acknowledged the work of the HLPE on food securities and nutrition and took note of the HLPE's involvement in the process of preparing the UN Food System Summit. And also we have our alternative. The committee recognized the relevance of this HLPE expert report in preparation of the upcoming UN Food System Summit. Before I give the floor to the members to give any comments, I would like to inform you that all of the comments that the members will, or any amendment that you will make, the secretariat will take note. And then after we finish our discussion, we will have another 5-minute break to finalize these. If you have any other amendment, we will also present you the final draft of this conclusion to the plenary. Now I would like to give the floor to the member if you have any comment or any suggestions or any corrections. Now I would like to give the floor to the members. because I think this conclusion is very simple. Okay. I don't have any request from the floor. I think we can say that the plenary, I don't see any request from the floor. Otherwise, okay. New Zealand, please. As I mentioned, the Secretariat will not type anything on this draft conclusion. They would take note with other laptop or computers. And then after your amendment or your suggestion, we will come back to propose you the final draft. Okay, I will give the floor to New Zealand, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just quickly, obviously happy with the language. It's what we agreed in the Bureau. Just I see we have the alternative option for the language at the bottom. From our perspective, I'm comfortable with either the first version or the second version. I assume you're going to have to decide which one to use there, but I'm just expressing that I'm happy with either. Thank you, Chair.
Yep, thank you very much, New Zealand. Now I give the floor to Dominican Republic, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just very quickly to echo what New Zealand just said, we see that either proposition is fine, but we would be much happier with the second one, the alternative, because it goes to the heart of what we're actually doing. The CFS is providing a column, support, a platform for a successful food system summit, and this all goes to the years-long work that we will be crowning tomorrow morning. Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you very much. Now I give the floor to US, please, and then followed by Argentina.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just to echo both colleagues from New Zealand and Dominican Republic on our preference on paragraph 3 for the alternative sentence. I think it better captures the role that we see. But again, I think much as the others, it's a preference, but we could probably live with both. Thanks.
Thank you very much, US, for your comments. Now I give the floor to Argentina, followed by Costa Rica, please.
Gracias, presidente. Con relación a los mismos temas mencionados por mis colegas que precedieron el uso de la palabra, nosotros vemos con agrado que se haya reflejado en lo acordado, lo conversado en el buró. No tenemos, en realidad creemos que quizás la primera, el párrafo original nos parece más apropiado, pero no tenemos un punto allí de conflicto si llegáramos a un consenso general sobre cuál sería el wording, pero simplemente marcamos que en principio nos parece mejor la primera alternativa, pero repito, no oponemos, si hay un consenso general, avanzar en la misma línea. Gracias, presidente.
Yeah, thank you, Argentina, for your suggestion. Now I give the floor to Costa Rica, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. Nada más para establecer que nosotros, al igual que los colegas de República Dominicana, Estados Unidos y otros que anteriormente he mencionado, también preferimos la alternativa del párrafo número 3. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Costa Rica. Now I give the floor to Russian Federation, followed by PSM, please.
Уважаемый господин председатель, благодарю за предоставленное слово. Мы хотели... Sorry, Chair, I was unmuted, I think. Can I continue?
I'm not sure that interpreter... Yep.
Chair, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, please. Go ahead.
Maybe I can speak in English. So we would like to support our colleagues With regard to the paragraph 3, we actually can live with both options, but our preference will be the first option, which was agreed by the Bureau, but we are ready to work on the language provided in the alternative option. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Thank you very much, Russian Federation, for your suggestions and comments. Now I give the floor to PSM, followed by Canada. PSM, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair. Following the comments of both Argentina and Russia, we can support either wording, but have a preference for the original wording, not the alternative. But understand there may be a consensus, which we would support, but we would prefer the first. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, PSM, for your support. Now I give the floor to Canada.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We would like to express a preference for the alternative language, but we have flexibility as well. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much for your flexibilities. Is there any others comment from the floor? Which actually I think I have heard from most of you, or I think many of you are very flexible, and also many of you also prefer the original language, but and also you're not opposed to the alternative. Okay. Okay, it seems we can say that majorities. Okay, otherwise, may I conclude that it seems majorities or most of you prefer to have the alternative paragraph, and then we can, and also most of you also are very flexible and very compromised. Perhaps we can use the alternative paragraph. I see EU would like to take the floor. Yep. Portugal, sorry. Portugal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Excellency, for giving us the floor. Yes, I'm sorry for coming a little bit late on this. Also, we have a preference. We are in your hands, Chair, of course. You are our leader, and your leaders is very welcome. But if we are with others in this field, but if we can express our preference, yes, the alternative is also better in our opinion. Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for your indulgence for coming late. And thank you, Excellency.
Yeah, thank you very much, Portugal, for your kind support. As after listening to all of you, I think all of you can get along with the alternative paragraph. And thank you very much for your flexibilities and compromise. Now I think the draft conclusions of the sessions is endorsed by the committee, and then we will send this draft to the drafting committee. Okay, thank you very much. I'm not sure that Secretariat want to make any logistical announcement, please.
Sure. If this now is gavelled through and this text is finished, thank you very much, Mr. Chair and membership. Just a couple house cleaning items. We will, of course, start tomorrow at 9:30 prompt. And I'd like to, at the request of the interpreters, make a public service announcement. A number of speakers are not using headphones or microphones similar to what I'm using. That makes it very difficult to be understood at times by the interpreters. So they are asking if it is possible for the remainder of the plenary session this week to use a wired headset or earphones with a built-in microphone or a clip-on microphone, but not the computer microphone or conference call microphone. And please connect your computer to your router with an Ethernet cable and not the Wi-Fi. Also, please send statements to FAO-interpretation@FAO.org. cfs.org before delivery, so the interpreters will have that and makes their lives easier to read and accurately interpret. Also, just echoing the chair earlier, please also send any statements you wish to have published on the CFS website to cfs@fao.org. Back to you, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, our secretary, for your announcement. And also would like to remind you that tomorrow morning, morning session, we will discuss the global thematic events framework for actions for food securities and nutrition in protracted crisis, which actually is very important, and welcome to participate and also to discuss on these particular issues. And then in the afternoon is very important. We will discuss the CFS multi-year program of work, MyPow 2020 to 2023. And also we will update on the rolling sections and also term of reference for the voluntary guideline on gender equalities and women's empowerment. And today, thank you very much for your great support, for your flexibilities. I think unbelievable. We finished our session today for 36. I think perhaps it's the first time of CFS that we finished our plenary 1 hour before our time. And also we do hope that we will continue our time management like this for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And we can show to all the members, stakeholders, and to the world that we really spend our time efficiently and we can manage our time very well. Thank you very much and have a good evening, and see you tomorrow at 9:30. Thank you very much.